Why don't they go in and talk?
Because the police have made them out to be worse than Eva Braun and Hitler for the last 15 months. And the Ramseys believe that even if they talk until they're hoarse, the police will continue to leak falsehoods to make them appear guilty.
I don't suppose it's occurred to you that they may be guilty?
But does that really even matter anymore? I mean, perception is reality, and the world perceives them as people who have stonewalled police from day one about the murder of their own child.
John, you didn't have to fly here to deliver a letter.
You can give it to Alex Hunter, or you can throw it away. The one thing you can't do is change a word of it.
Alex, where's the problem? He's offering to have everyone in the family submit to interviews. They'll talk for as long as you want, no conditions. Why aren't you smiling, Alex? You have the store now.
There's one condition implicit in his letter, that my office does the interviews.
You find that so unreasonable?
I can't conduct interviews for the police. It's their case. Until they hand it over to me, they're still in charge.
They're still pushing for a grand jury?
Every hour of every day.
Have you agreed to that?
No, I have not. I told Morgan it was your case, and until it was handed over to me, you would do all the questioning. I won't poach on your turf.
Have you decided then to call a grand jury?
Oh, no, I haven't, but... Peter, don't you think a grand jury's just about inevitable?
I don't see enough evidence to take it there.
In any event, when do you want us to hand the case over to you?
A month from now.
This is what JonBenet looked like on the morning of December 25th. The bike was her Christmas present, given to her by her parents. John Ramsey took this snapshot. Next, please. This is very early on Christmas morning. It's the last image we have of JonBenet alive. About 22 hours later, on December 26th, a little bit before 6 o'clock in the morning, when Patsy Ramsey went downstairs, she says she found a note telling her that JonBenet had been kidnapped. About 7 hours after that, the body of JonBenet was found in the basement by her father. Next, please. This is where investigative officers found the body of JonBenet.
So far as we could learn, we found no clear sign of forced entry. We did find these pry marks on 2 doors, but we didn't find any splinters on the ground, which of course you would during a break-in. And of course, there's the spider web. And we don't have any photographic record, but an officer does remember seeing 1 or 2 intact strands of a spider web running from this grate in front of this broken basement window to this window molding. If entry did occur here, we find it very unlikely that this partial web would still be there the next morning.
As of now, we've looked at 68 suspects. Of the likely ones, handwriting, fingerprinting, DNA, and other forensic tests or strong alibis have eliminated the following. Chris Wolf, Fleet and Priscilla White, Linda Hoffman Pugh, Melinda Ramsey, and John Andrew Ramsey. They're John Ramsey's children from an earlier marriage. And in addition, 30 of Boulder's 32 known sex offenders. In theory, the Santa Claus, Bill McReynolds, is still suspect. His wife wrote a play about the torture murder of a young girl in a basement. But we think he was way too weak to have done the crime. He had heart surgery only 4 months earlier. So, we keep coming back to somebody in the house.
The injury to JonBenet's head produced no exterior bleeding. Therefore, we don't know where or when she was hit. We believe it could have been caused by this flashlight. The flashlight, the ransom note, the pad on which the note was written, were all found near each other in this area of the kitchen. Linguistics analysis of the note shows similar phraseology to Patsy Ramsey's previous notes and letters. Yet, handwriting analysis doesn't show that Patsy Ramsey wrote the note. It does show that of all the people we interviewed, she's the only one who can't be eliminated.
4 fibers were found on the duct tape that was torn from JonBenet's mouth. This is Patsy Ramsey on Christmas night. CBI tells us that the 4 fibers from that duct tape are consistent with that jacket.
I'm very sorry, but consistent with is not a match. It is impossible to match a fiber to a garment in the way a fingerprint or DNA can be matched to a human being.
But wouldn't the jury buy it?
They might, for about 30 seconds. Then the defense would show that the fibers could have gotten on the tape like this. Bessie is wearing her jacket Christmas night. She puts the child to bed. The fibers attached to the white blanket, but the police found the duct tape on the blanket. It's called secondary transfer. It is the most common thing in the world.
Detective Thomas.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Kane.
Hey.
I think that's impressive work you're doing in there.
You have a say whether Alex Hunter goes forward. I mean, why would he invite you if he didn't want your advice?
Let's say I'm part of the mix.
You know what, Mr. Kane? When we started this case, we wouldn't settle for anything less than the death penalty. Then we agreed to accept nothing less than a conviction on murder. Then it went down to a felony conviction. Then, when we met with the FBI, they said an indictment would be a victory. And by the time Eller left, handcuffing would have been a triumph. Now, I'm lucky just to present my case. Think about that. To sum up, these are only some of the reasons why we believe that the Ramseys are the only genuine suspects. The ransom note was written on paper that was torn from a pad that belonged to Patsy Ramsey. The Sharpie pen that was used to write the note was found in a cup next to the kitchen phone where Patsy Ramsey kept all her pens. Patsy Ramsey is the only person that cannot be eliminated as author of that note. The ransom itself, $118,000, is the exact same amount as John Ramsey's bonus that year. The paintbrush, used as a stick to twist the garrote, is linked to Patsy Ramsey. The audio on the 911 tape conflicts with statements made by both Ramseys to the police. Within 35 minutes of finding his child's body, John Ramsey was on the phone with his pilot to fly the family to Atlanta. Moreover, the autopsy discloses vaginal trauma that was present prior to the night of the murder. It is unlikely that anyone outside the immediate family could have done this. And finally, the date engraved on John Benet's headstone reads December 25th, not December 26th, which indicates to us that the Ramseys knew their child died before midnight.
We think you've got a triable case of felony murder here. We think you should take it straight to the grand jury.
To prove felony murder, we have to show that death occurred during an accompanying felony. What was the felony?
Sexual assault.
How do we show that? How do we show that, sir? Even if we could prove penetration, we don't know when it happened. Even if we could establish that it happened that night, which parent would we accuse and of which acts? Who tied the garrote? Sir, who carried the child? Who hit her over the head? Can you answer those questions? No, you can't. No, you can't. You don't even have enough for a case. You don't even have enough to indict.
So you're not going forward?
We are definitely going forward. My office will now interview the Ramseys.
And when you interview the Ramseys, just where are the police gonna be?
I think they're going to find out that it's our case now, not theirs. We will use the police when and where I want to.
Lou.
Hello, Steve. Can I do something for you?
I heard the interviews with the Ramseys are taking place any day now. Is that true?
True.
Why weren't we asked to participate? This is our case.
No, it's Hunter's now.
Lou, is there any way I can be part of this team? I know this case better than anyone.
If it was up to me, you'd be there. But Alex wants his people doing the questioning.
You gotta be hard on him, Lou. Don't softball him. Don't let religion play a part in this.
Don't worry, Steve. I've put a lot of Christians in prison.
Mrs. Ramsey, when the police interviewed you last year, you were under medication, weren't you?
Indeed, I was. I'm sure that it must have given a terrible